You know, have you ever wondered if there's a better way to learn a language? Something that isn't just memorizing boring grammar rules? Well, today we're going to look at how a super simple classic story, The Honest Woodcutter, might just be the key to doing exactly that.
I mean, we all love a good story, right? They just grab our attention, make us feel things, and they really stick in our memories. So, what if? What if that same magic could make learning a new language feel just as easy and natural? Okay, I know what you're thinking. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? How on earth can a little fairy tale about a woodcutter actually help you speak better English? Well, the secret is all about how our brains are literally wired to learn through stories. See, it all comes down to one word: context. Instead of just memorizing a random list of words, stories let you see those words in action. You start connecting them to characters, to feelings, to what's happening. And that kind of natural immersion, well, that's what makes the language really come alive and stick in your head for good. All right, so to see exactly how this works, let's just dive right into the story. For the next couple of minutes, forget about grammar, forget about rules, just let the story pull you in. Let's go. Here's the tale of the honest woodcutter. So our story begins, like a lot of great tales do, with a pretty humble hero. We meet this poor but really hardworking woodcutter. He lives near a forest and, spends his days just trying to make a living. And here's where the trouble starts. One day, he's working by the river, and the one tool he absolutely needs to do his job, his axe, it slips right out of his hands and falls into the water. For a guy like him, this is a total disaster. I mean, you can just imagine how hopeless he felt. But then, just when it seems like all hope is lost, something completely magical happens. A fairy suddenly appears, right out of the water. This is that moment, the turning point where the real world bumps into something extraordinary. And the fairy's first words are simple. She sees him crying and just asks, "Why are you crying?" He tells her his story, how he lost his axe, and she decides she's going to help him out. So here comes the first big test. The fairy dives down into the river, but she doesn't come back with his old axe. Nope, she comes back with a stunning, solid gold axe. She holds it up and asks if it's his. Now remember, this guy is poor, but he's also honest. He just says, "Nope, that's not mine." But the fairy isn't finished yet. She dives down a second time and comes back with a shiny silver axe. And again, she asks him, "Is this one yours?" And what does he do? He gives the exact same honest answer. "No, that's not mine either." He literally turns down a fortune for the second time. Okay, so on her third try, the fairy brings up his actual axe, just a plain old iron one. And you should see the woodcutter's face. It just lights up. He doesn't even hesitate. He shouts, "Yes, that's my axe!" He's just so happy to have his own tool back. And this is what it's all about. The fairy is just so blown away by how honest he is, she gives him an incredible reward. Not just his own axe back, she gives him the golden axe and the silver axe too. All three of them. So he goes home a very, very happy man. Great story, right? But now, let's switch gears for a second. Let's go from being listeners to being analysts. How exactly does a simple story like that become a powerhouse for learning a language? Well, it really breaks down into 4 pretty clear steps. Step 1, you just absorb the story. You let it sink in. Step 2, you figure out the moral, the main point of it all. Then, for step 3, you actually practice the most important sentences. And finally, step 4, you pull out the new words and really learn what they mean. So let's zoom in on that last step for a second, the vocabulary. We've got woodcutter, right? That's our hero. Axe, the tool he lost. Fairy, the magical being who helps him. Honest, which is his best quality. And reward, which is what he gets in the end. When you see these words after you've heard them in a story, they're just so much easier to remember. Okay, now for the practice part. Seriously, repeating these lines out loud is huge. It helps build that muscle memory for speaking. It's great for your pronunciation. So go ahead, try saying them with me. There was a poor woodcutter. His axe fell into the river. See? This is how you build real fluency, one simple sentence at a time. Okay, so we've heard the story, we've broken down the technique, but what's the big takeaway here? What's the real reward for learning this way? Well, the story's moral is pretty clear, right? Honesty is the best policy. It's one of those lessons that's true everywhere, that being truthful, even when it's tough, usually leads to something good. And here is how that connects right back to you. The woodcutter was honest about his axe. You have to be honest with your effort, the real work you put into learning. His reward was gold and silver. Your reward, well, it's something way more valuable. It's fluency. It's that amazing ability to connect with people and express yourself in a brand new language. So I'm going to leave you with a question to think about. The power of a good story is just huge. It shapes how we see everything. And as we've seen today, it can even shape how we learn. So what about you? What's a simple story that has stuck with you your whole life and taught you a lesson you'll never, ever